Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Kevin Kissinger, and teacher and a tutor here at the LSAT Demon. And with me, also as a teacher and a tutor, is Erik Johansson. And today we're going to be focusing on an email from our listener about practice test consistency. So Erik, take it away.
Yeah, so MC wrote in, and MC has been with the Demon for a few months, has taken around 45 practice tests, recently has been scoring their practice test scores hovering around 170, high 160s, low 170s, but has scored as high as a 177 and wants to know how they can more consistently score in the 175 plus range. So they ask, my question is, how does one gain consistency in the 175 plus range? I'm completing most sections with 1 to 2 minutes to spare.
Time on the clock.
Come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. And upon review, every single question I'm getting wrong is one that I've brought down between two answers, sometimes second guessing the right answer. They're always 4 or 5 on the difficulty meter. I've scored a 177 PT before. Awesome. Great job.
Yeah.
And would love to score in that range consistently as I prepare for the August LSAT. I focus on completing with accuracy rather than speed and never skip over questions, and make sure to read RC passages thoroughly before looking at the questions. Just seems a hard final push for those extra 3 to 4 right answers. Thanks for writing in, MC. Understand it. It can feel intimidating or like a real tall task to make that push into the mid to high 170s, right? So what do you think, Kevin? Any immediate reactions on what it takes to gain those mid to high 170 scores with consistency?
Yeah, first, I kind of want to reiterate what we said. Congratulations for making this far. You're at the summit of Mount Everest. We're just almost at the top. You're just got to turn around the corner. You're almost there. I've never climbed Mount Everest. Let me say that. Anyway, a couple things that I see here right away, kind of mentioned it when passing and reading, is the clock. You have a couple minutes left over. So in that sense, I don't want to say you're rushing, because sounds like you're thoroughly going through the questions, but at the same time, you could use that time to take a few extra seconds on a question that's really challenging for you. That could be a difference between a missed point and a point gain. So those 1 to 2 minutes, sure, it's nice to have a little cushion at the end, but at the same time, you need to allocate that time. Again, accuracy over speed. You mentioned that yourself in your letter here, and that's great. But I'd say you're 98% there. Where's the rest of the time going? And the second thing I'm thinking about.
Let me just jump in there,
sure.
MC. I would suspect that if you turn those 1 to 2 spare minutes into instead only finishing like 24 of 25 questions, I suspect that you might score better, even if you're just giving up that last question to a random guess.
Yeah.
1 to 2 minutes that's a lot of time on a 35-minute section. That's a lot of time to end with, to have spare. And that's all time you could have been putting into answer choices, like Kevin said. So yeah, consider that. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Kevin. Yeah, I was going a little fast. No, and that's exactly it. Reallocate your time. Think about what you're doing on certain questions that, are you stuck and you just kind of, whatever. I'm happy, like 80% happy with this answer. I'm going to move on. That's no good. Take that extra minute, read the passage better, read the answers better, understand the question better, and you're going to be better off when you get to the end. 24 out of 25, that's more points than you're already scoring right now, as Erik said. So that's great. The second thing I was thinking is, and this might be related to the time to a certain degree, is that the really tough stuff that you're coming across, 4 or 5 on the difficulty meter, as you say, you're deciding between 2 answers. That's not good. That's not good. You need to be definitively getting rid of wrong answers and definitively picking the correct one. You should never come across 2 that you're deciding between. Sometimes you can eliminate all 5. That's better. That's okay. But you should never come across one or the other. So it means you missed something. So I would go, again, analyze how you're reading the passage, take a bit more time. Where's the conclusion? What are the premises? Just the basic stuff even can really make a difference if you take that extra time to get across the line.
Yeah, especially because you have time to spare.
Yeah.
If you acknowledge that you're missing questions because you were just guessing between 2 answer choices, it means you only make the decision to guess if you have decided not to spend more time figuring that out. And if you have 1 to 2 minutes to spare at the end of every section, then you kind of don't have an excuse for rushing through that. So yeah, you've got time, and you just have to sort of trust that the time that you spend will pay off, and you might only be 20 seconds away from figuring it out and finding that one definitely correct answer.
Yeah, and this will help you prevent yourself from experiencing this second guessing feeling, because you'll have that definitive understanding of the passage where you can pick the right one and eliminate the wrong ones. So it's kind of hitting two birds with one stone. If you understand the passage better, take the time to understand it, you're going to solve both of these problems and gain more points that way. So why not take that time?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to the question of consistency and the 175 plus range, Kevin, were you scoring consistently in the 175 plus range when you took the test?
I was, yeah. But by the time I got to my final test, where I scored 174, I scored 180 a couple times, got a 179 once, but I was mostly scoring between 175 and 177, probably, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And the thing, I think the thing is just exactly what we're talking about. Not only was I taking the time to, making sure I understood the passage and the question, and another thing I dealt with too was anxiety. I took moments to breathe. I just close my eyes, reset, think about what I'm doing, and then tackle the question with a new focus. So that helped too. But the timing thing that we were talking about, definitely implementing that. I implemented that when I was studying. And then the last thing too is, I don't know how you're feeling about the test necessarily, MC, but are you having fun with the test? Because that can make a big difference too. For me, I enjoy success, right? But the success made it more fun because I was like, free points, these are games. I'm having a great time, getting those points and understanding the games and the passages. I'm learning new things. I treated LR like a newspaper puzzle. I sound like a older crossword junkie, but
No, I love that.
That stuff just made a huge difference, because instead of me going to the LSAT, on the LSAT take the test, I was like, oh, I got to take the test to be a lawyer. It was like, this is fun. I'm having a great time. This is, going to be a few hours where I get to tackle difficult challenges and problems and try to solve them. So mindset's important. And I'd consider reflecting on how you are approaching the test in that regard.
Yeah, my follow-up question was going to be, okay, have fun with the test. Okay, well, cool. Thanks, Kevin. How do I, maybe I don't think this test is fun. How do I suddenly just decide to have fun with this test? And I think you already started to answer that by saying, recognize that you're just playing games and treat them like games. I love that. One other thing I would do, or one other suggestion I would make is maybe consider scaling back on your workload.
Oh yeah.
If you are people who aren't having fun with the test, I feel like that's often a symptom of overdoing it, of overtraining.
Yeah.
And that if you are dreading showing up to your study every day, then you probably need to take a step back. And if instead what you do is like an hour a day instead of 4 hours a day, then maybe you're actually excited for that 1 hour, and that will lead to taking that next final step up into the high 170s.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I did that thing. I worked too hard at one point, burned out, especially when I was, I was like, I'm almost at the score I want. I got to keep going, Take a moment, take a step back. I tell this to my students in classes all the time. I took more breaks than I studied during the last month or two before my final test, and I got my best score. You don't lose these skills when you stop studying. There's a certain point where I don't want to say you reach your potential, because anybody can score the highest they can if they put the work in. But, at a certain point, you're like, I got this. I feel good about it. Just going to enjoy the ride. And that's what you got to do when you get near the end, I think. So that's a great point. Glad you raised that.
Well, that's great, Kevin. I think the one thing that I would add is, hey, hats off to you that you were actually consistently scoring 175 plus by the time you took the test. I want to put it out there that like my range was far broader than that. By the time I took the test for the official time, like my range was basically like 168 to 180. So
wow, yeah.
Simply scoring, and that's based, I don't think that's at all unusual that a range of scores be that broad. And I know it freaks students out to think that their scores might fluctuate that much, but MC, if you're scoring 169, 169, 170, that doesn't mean you can't score in the high 170s.
Absolutely.
And indeed, you have a 177 practice test. I mean, was that a fluke scoring that high, Kevin?
There's no such thing as an upward fluke. I say that all the time. Everyone has bad days. You can go down, but when you go up, you clicked. You understood something, and we just have to replicate that again on future tests. And you could do that. You already showed that you could. So, yeah, no such thing as an upward fluke.
Yeah. So, yeah, just final point there, MC. Do we want our average practice test score to keep climbing, to keep going up? Absolutely. Does that mean that like you can't score a 177 again just because you're still lingering around 170? No, that is still within your range. And just, show yourself some kindness and accepting that there is going to be some variation in your scores. That's normal. Consistency is great. Scoring higher consistently is great. But there is going to be some natural variation to your practice test scores.
Yeah. And you're, like we said at the beginning, you're killing already, right? It's just fine tuning the last few things to get there. Remember the training, as some Jedi master would say.
Remember your training.
Yeah. Got anything else, Eric?
That's it. Keep up the great work, MC.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.